Just want to welcome you all here today. I'm going to give it a few minutes. I see people coming in from the waiting room and welcome you all here today. Happy to have you. Hope you're all having a great day, enjoying this weather, and hope you can hear me loud and clear. Just waiting a few more people coming in and then we're going to get started. Very excited. Welcome, welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your being here. And I just want to welcome you all for being here. Thank you for being here. This is our Building Blocks of Success webinar, and it really is a webinar about creating and preserving legacy for your family and loved ones through the gift of entrepreneurship and of course, proper estate planning. And so this is more like a masterclass today. I'm really going to give you a wealth of information. I know you will get value from this. And, my hope is that you actually utilize it. But welcome, welcome to my Building Blocks of Success. And we're going to get started by, just letting you know a little bit about who I am. My name is Nataki Apollon. I am a small business attorney, legacy builder, educator, and coach. And really, my joy comes from assisting people with protecting and preserving legacy. And that includes protecting your business, protecting your family, and looking at what it means cohesively, right? Because it all does work together. And my goal in this presentation is really to assist you with your business goals. All right, I want to support you today. Look at some things maybe that you have not been seeing in your business, or maybe that we oftentimes neglect in our businesses if we have one. Or if you don't have a business already, I want to talk to you from a place of empowerment. Like get started, make a decision, move forward with that. Take inspired and empowered action, move forward with your business dreams and goals. And so there is a foundation of business. It starts with your entities, but it moves way past that. And so I want to empower you to make solid decisions and give you that peace of mind that you need to be a successful entrepreneur out there. Of course, with the right mindset, which is everything. So before I dive into all of the juicy information, I want to have, a few housekeeping tips. I am an attorney, as you know, but I am not your attorney yet. So please don't construe any of this as legal advice, but consider it valuable information and education for yourselves, your business, and your lives. Um, I will be happy to answer all questions. There should be a Q&A box there, and you can drop your questions in there. We'll probably get to them at the end. And so this is your chance. Ask the questions you have. Don't be shy. We'll get to those again at the end of the presentation. Okay, so I just want to see if you guys, if you started your own business, if you're thinking about it, if you're not sure if it's structured properly, you may have all of the questions. If any of this sounds familiar, you are in the right place today to learn. Okay, and you want to have your ducks in a row. Some of you may have several businesses. Go you should be proud of yourselves. And you probably want to make sure that you have a structured entity in place that is going to limit your liability, limit your personal exposure. And we'll talk about, what that means a little bit later, but you want to make sure that everything is protected and your personal assets are protected. So I will dive into LLCs. I will touch on corporations, corporate structures, and let you know probably which one would be best for you based on what you need in your business at the moment. But I want to start this webinar by discussing something that is extremely important. And it's important in our lives, in our business, in our personal lives, when we're estate planning, when I'm coaching with my clients. And I want to discuss mindset because it actually made a difference in my life. And I know it will make a difference in yours and your businesses, right? I struggled with mindset. I struggled with mindset for a long time. And I realized that the moment I shifted those limiting beliefs, things changed for me. I personally took the bar exam more times than JFK Jr. I did. And I was embarrassed about it for a while. I failed so many times, but I took that failure and I was like, no, this can't be. I have to shift my mindset, do something differently. So I changed patterns. I really truly believe that failure was not an option, and I enlisted help. It was the best thing I could have done. After the God bless how many times of taking the bar and failing, I passed. And that was due to my resilience. Okay, so when you think about mindset, it's crucial in entrepreneurships. How are you looking and approaching the challenges that come up in business? How are you approaching risks and opportunities? How are you approaching yourself? Like, who are you in those moments? And so, when we look at what it takes to have a sound mindset ready for business, you have to look at resilience. Are you resilient? Are you bouncing back after those failures? Because there will be failures and challenges. How are you handling those? What about problem solving? Right? Are you solving problems in your business, or are you just giving up at the first, crack at something happening and you're like, well, no, I can't move forward? What are you doing? How are you looking at those problems and finding creative ways to get a solution? Are you adaptable? Markets change, clients' needs change, strategies change. Everything may change in your business. Are you ready and equipped to handle it? Think about this. Something brought you here today. Something in you said, I want to learn more. I want to dig deeper into my business. And you're here, so I thank you. But please, if you do nothing else, don't attend this webinar and then go back to your business and do nothing about it. Take action. Business is about mindset and taking action. Okay, so don't take this lightly. I know you're here for the juicy LLC stuff. You want to learn more about, whether you should select an LLC, a corp, or an S corp, but it really does start in our minds and how we approach things. So keep that in mind as we go along. Okay. Also, confidence and risk taking, focusing on growth. Okay. Growth oriented mindsets. Expand your skills. You're here today because you want to expand your skills and you want to be an inspired leader. So, in summary, if you have the right mindset, that is truly the foundation for navigating your business. That is the foundation of your business. You are the foundation of your business. And so, having an LLC, believe it or not, is the easy part. Do you have the right mindset? Okay. And so I like to encourage my clients to think about why they're in business. Like, why are you here? Why are you in business? Do you just need money right now? Is there a big message, product, or service you need to get to the world? Or do you really just want to leave a big legacy? Why are you doing this? Are you a conscious business owner? Do you know what that means? Are you aware and willing to look at all aspects of your business and yourself, especially the difficult ones? I mean, I became a lawyer to leave a legacy, make a difference in my community. I realized that we're missing a lot of education in our communities, and I knew I wanted to be that person, that educator, that mentor, that coach that cheers you on in business, but also gives you the right legal strategies and structures to do so. So you really have to look at your higher purpose. What are you doing and why are you doing it? It's really important to see the higher purpose, right? And then when we get past that and we go along, we want to wonder what is the best structure for us. But that requires asking yourself your ultimate vision and goal. What is the ultimate vision you have for your business? And what are you doing to work towards it daily? Do you want a business that has, shares and you want to offer that? Or do you just want a smaller business that you serve a small population and community? These are things you have to think about because that will determine the structure that you choose. Okay. And as will, you have to consider the cost of formation. Every state has their own filing fee. You want to consider how to best minimize your risk of personal liability and avoid piercing the corporate veil, which I will talk about a little bit, and their taxation considerations. So you have to think about what is best for your business now and think about that business in the future. What is that vision? And what legacy do you want to leave behind? So let's start by going into the types of business structures offered. Okay, so you have the sole proprietorship, and I don't really go into that a lot. All you have to know about this is not really a structure at all. It's you going along and doing business in your own name, as usual, no formal structure or entity. We have LLCs, limited liability companies, partnerships, which is, they're much like sole proprietorships in that there's not a lot of protection, asset protection in that. Either they're corporations and they're nonprofits. I will not really go into nonprofits because they are their own animal. And so I don't touch on that too much, but I just wanted you to be advised of what you have available. Okay. And once you do have one of these entities in place, know that, let me back up and say, you better have one of these entities in place, more so the LLC or corporation, because if you don't have it, you're walking around with like your butt out. I won't use the other word for respect for all of you, but you are really open and exposed. All right. And once you do have your LLC in place, it needs to be maintained. You want to be a shield between yourself and your creditors. And I'll take it a step further and say you need to have the right agreements in place. Always, always, always. And when you're signing these agreements and entering into contracts with vendors, with graphic designers, whomever you're entering contracts with, you have to sign on behalf of the CEO or president of your company and not in your own name because you may be assuming personal liability. Okay, so if you don't do that and don't have the right structure, agreements, and we'll talk about compliance, but if that's not all together, you may be on the hook personally and maybe commingling funds, which is something you try to avoid at all costs. Okay, so this is the big save when you think about a formal entity. You are saving yourself from being personally liable or not on the hook for business mishaps, right? Because there can be business mishaps, whether you intentionally do it or unintentionally. Things happen in business. So you have to have a solid legal entity. And I'll take it a step further. You have to be sure that all of your entity is structured and in compliance with the right agreements, etc. Otherwise, you may be personally liable. I've said that a few times now. Let me tell you what it means to be personally liable. It means that you, as an individual, not as your corporation, may be held responsible for any debt, obligation, or legal liability of your company. So let's say, for example, your business is sued. God forbid something happened with you and it didn't work out, and someone else says, "Hey, you owe me $50,000, pay up." It would be your structure, your legal entity paying up if you had the proper structure in place with the right formalities. Otherwise, if you don't, you're looking at personal liability. And when I say personal liability, it could be your personal bank account, it could be your home, it could be anything that personally belongs to you. So that's why I keep stressing the importance of having an entity. And note, sole proprietorships and general partnerships, again, may leave an owner personally liable and vulnerable to debt and lawsuits. Okay, there's no legal separation between the owner in a sole proprietorship and the business. You are personally liable for all debts and all legal obligations. So if you're running a mom and pop out of your house, if you're baking, cooking, selling, whatever you're doing in your name personally, no other structure, no other entity, yes, you are personally liable, in your business. Also, if you make personal guarantees, let's say you take out a loan or a mortgage or something like that, and you personally guarantee that debt, you again are personally liable and would have to look at your personal assets to pay your creditor. Okay. And so when we think about this, we think of having a structure so they don't pierce that corporate veil. That corporate veil doesn't need to be pierced. So that means once it's pierced, you are personally liable. We want to keep a strong structure and foundation around our business so we avoid that piercing. And what could cause it to be pierced? Again, signing, personally guaranteeing loans, being negligent or fraudulent, anything like that, and even commingling funds Yes, commingling funds, meaning you have your business bank account, but you're using your personal bank account. Everything is a little mixed up. I get it. Things happen. But that also could leave you to have the corporate bill pace pierced. So we want to avoid that. All right. And the bottom line is when people ask me, do I need a business entity or can I just keep going the way I have been? And should it be set up the right way? The answer is always a resounding yes. And let me add something not to be shady. Thank God for LegalZoom and a lot of these places that have documents on demand. But let me tell you something, those documents on demand, we don't know if they will work, and they leave you just with documents in hand. They're not personalized, and you don't know that they're going to protect you personally or your business. And they don't support you going forward, which is the most important part of business, moving forward. Okay, so again, having your structure, your entity is not enough. You have to take it a step further. Like I said, the right agreements in place, compliance, and we'll look at some compliance issues. But really having your entity and making sure that you are observing required corporate formalities, you're holding meetings as you should, you're maintaining separate bank accounts, you're not commingling personal and corporate funds. This is what it means to be compliant in business. So these are really, really the important areas that we look at in a business. And once we go through this, you'll see just having your LLC, your paperwork, that is the easiest part. That is the easiest part. What happens going forward in business is really what we like to look at. Okay, so again, I'm going to repeat a lot of things, but I really want you to get this information, and repetition is a great way for learning. So, why would we form a business? We want to limit our liability, as I mentioned, limit exposure, protect assets. We want to save on taxes. We didn't really talk about taxes that much. I always recommend having a good accountant in play. And with my clients, I work not only with them, but I also work with their accountant because we make decisions together. I am not a tax professional. I can, give you the information, what we think may be best for your business, but I always say consult your tax professional and we can all work together. Tax audit reduction. Believe it or not, sole proprietorships are taxed heavily, heavily. And it goes on to the personal taxes, but having an entity, it says that, okay, I'm in business, I mean business, and the IRS, I won't say they will never tax you, but there have been studies to show that sole proprietorships are taxed at a higher incidence. All right, you want to have a professional identity, you want to be legit, your business is serious and you take it seriously. And really, that's what the LLC implies. Like, I am in business, I mean business, and I'm offering you a professional service or I'm offering you a product. And having that means that you are really legit. And a lot of people like to see that. Also, raising capital. If you are thinking about having a really huge corporation down the line and you know you're going to want to raise capital, you want to be incorporated. Okay. So let's look at these two big guys because these are the main, these are the bread and butter of corporations. So LLCs versus corporations. Let's first take a look at the LLCs. Okay, so your LLC is a business structure that combines the elements of a corporation and a partnership. The beauty of this is that it does provide limited liability protection, which we've discussed. So, meaning you are personally protected for your assets and you are generally protected from, business debts and lawsuits. Remember what I said though with this corporate formality requirement. In order to enjoy the protection of your assets, your corporate formalities must be done properly. So whether that's meeting minutes or in New York, it's a biennial report every 2 years you have to fill out. You want to make sure you're compliant with all the new rules and regulations. We will talk about that, the CTA. So you want to make sure. But the beauty of the LLC is that it offers flexible management and pass through taxation. So your management skills or styles may differ. With an LLC, it gives you the opportunity to be manager managed or member managed, meaning the members could manage, meaning you want to be involved in day-to-day decisions, you want to make all the decisions on behalf of the company, or do you say, I just want to focus on the business, what I'm doing, I want to make it happen, and I want to enlist a third-party manager to come in and manage my business. So you do have that flexibility. Okay. And you can have as many members as you want with an LLC. So there are no limitations for that. It also gives you pass-through taxation. So that means the business profits are taxed on your personal tax returns instead of at the corporate level. Now, again, I said I'm not an accountant, but I do know that offers more tax savings because you're only taxed at one level. You're not taxed both on the corporate and the personal level. Everything passes through to your personal taxes. Now, let's look at a corporation. It's a legal entity that is separate from its owners. So that means it's owned by shareholders. Okay, it can own assets, incur liabilities, it can conduct business in its own name. And this too offers you limited liability protection. Okay, so personal assets, again, are generally protected and not at risk for the corporation's debts or misfeasances, okay? And the corporations are generally governed by a board of directors and subject to corporate taxation. So this is where the taxation really differs here. And if you are trying to save taxes, if you're just starting out, you're a small business, your goals are to try to just do what you need to do. Corporate taxation is important, and you're double taxed on the corporate level. So that means you're taxed on the corporate level. And again, let's say you get dividends or distributions as a shareholder, you're taxed again. So you have double taxation when you look at a corporation. And so a lot of times people do prefer an LLC, and a lot of my small business clients at least like to start with an LLC because of the flexibility of structure, of management. Even the formalities are not as stringent as a corporation. So these are the things you want to think about because a corporation, that management is a little bit more rigid. And you want to make sure that you're able to keep up with everything, especially as a new business owner. Okay. So those are the main differences, how you're taxed and flexibility. Those are the two major differences. And someone could say, well, when do I choose an LLC? When do I choose a corporation? So I would say choose an LLC if you want simpler structure with fewer formalities. If you prefer that pass-through taxation structure, right? Remember, I talked about that double taxation. If you want to avoid double taxation and you want flexible management options. So I would say, you know what? I think that LLC would be for me. Okay. You want to start small and you can also grow. You can always grow. You choose a corporation if you know right now you plan on raising significant capital, you want to get investors and backing and money. You want to offer stock options as, an attractive offer and, to your employees. And you really know you want to grow this thing really big. And you have the capacity and ability to maintain that structured governance of a board of directors and all that it takes to maintain. Okay, so you want to say wherever you start is not necessarily where you have to end. So keep that in mind. You don't have to do just because Jenny or Billy or someone else is doing a corporation and says that's the better thing to do because of their accountant. Their situation is based on their personal situation, their vision. Remember, we talked about that. What are your goals? What is your vision for your company now, in 5 years, in 10 years? You have to make that determination, what it is that you want and how you want to see your business grow. Okay, that's really, really important. And so again, we have to go by a limited liability act. Each state will have its own rules for governing the LLC formation, management, taxation, and liability. This is a state-based, the LLC. So you're required to form articles of organization for an LLC in the state in which you have to form them. It does not mean you have to form it in the state in which you live. If you find that you want more privacy, you may want to go to Wyoming, you may want to go to Arizona. There are different places that you can file depending on what your needs are again. So you don't have to file in the state where you live, but do this caveat and note, if you live in New York and you file in, let's just say Arizona, and you have an issue in Arizona, guess where you have to take care of that issue? in Arizona. So it's really more helpful to file in the state in which you live, but there are other options, and that's something we discuss on a personal one-on-one, depending again on your needs, okay? And you also have the corporate veil protection, and we look at the levels of taxation. Are you taxed, double taxed like the corporation? No, you're not. Pass-through taxation is what you enjoy. And so these are the considerations for LLC. And most of my clients really enjoy having an LLC because they love the flexibility and the formalities are not as stringent. But remember, entity formation is only the first step. We have other considerations. What are the other considerations? Compliance, right? And this is just the beginning of compliance, and then we'll touch on some other things. And everything is very specific to you, but this is just the overarching. We want to make sure we have a legal entity form, whether it's articles of organization for your LLC or articles of incorporation for your corporate filing. They need to be filed with the state. You need a legal name and domain name. You want to have a registered agent. And let me touch on this point as a registered agent. If you currently have a business and you are your own registered agent, please change it. Please change it for so many reasons, but privacy is the biggest thing. You want to make sure your legal documents, any kind of service or information letters that come from the state to your company on your behalf, it's always good to have a third-party agent that's receiving these documents, or your accountant can receive it, whoever you select. But for privacy reasons, God forbid, you should never have your own name as registered agent. You also never want your own personal address, okay? Been there, done that. I was an attorney, been there, done that. You don't want that. You want to have a business address. And even now, there are a lot of places that offer you a virtual office. So, you can just give an address, because remember with filing, I didn't mention this before, you have to file with an address that is not a PO box, that is not a Staples, that is not a FedEx, that is not any of those places that, USP. You need a filing address. And so you can get that with a virtual office. Again, we file the organizational documents. You must obtain an EIN. It's like a social security number for your business. That is how you're recognized. And then you have also trademark considerations. I talk to my clients about this, depending on what they want in their business, if they want to have more brand awareness, etc. A lot of times trademark is required, or not required, but it's a great idea to protect your brand. I don't trademark myself, but I do work with very capable attorneys who do. If you register to do business as a foreign entity, you're going to have to register separately. Like I said, for example, if you live in New York and you register your business in Arizona, then you would have to register in both New York and Arizona, and New York would be the foreign entity. Okay, so you want to make sure that's done. Any required permits, licenses, and bonds, and any new law requirements, all of that have to be filed. Okay, so these are all the considerations, and that's why I tell people work with a knowledgeable accountant, work with a knowledgeable attorney, an advisor, someone that can help you stay on track, right? Between the licenses and permits, the EIN number, and the agreements, which we didn't even really touch on, it's really important. Another point I want to give for all of you business owners out there without an operating agreement, because you don't think you need an operating agreement because you're a one-man show or one-woman show, think again. You do. You do. This is your set of instructions for your business, much like estate planning. Your operating agreement will dictate a lot. It will solve a lot of issues and problems. God forbid something happened to you. What happens to your business? Where does it go? Who does it go to? If you have another member or partner, how will you determine if there's a dispute between the two of you? How do you determine if one person wants to add a member, but that member's goals, dreams, values don't align with yours? Then what happens? So it's really important, if nothing else, please have a personalized operating agreement, not a one-pager that they give you or two-pager in LegalZoom. Again, not hating. But your business is you, right? And you want to make sure it's protected. Protect yourself, have a really solid operating agreement in place, along with a good work for hire agreement, as I mentioned, and all of that. But really, this is where it starts and ends in your operating agreement, okay? Especially for your business. It's really, really important. There are also like blog disclaimers you may need, independent contractor agreements. There's so many areas of your agreement. So that's why when I say literally, filing the paperwork for your business is the easiest part, it truly is. What happens after that? Okay. You want to think about your financial setup. Okay. Do you have a bank account? What do you have? Do you have an accounting system? Do you have a P&L? I find that having a P&L every like maybe 3 months, like you update your P&L monthly, but every 3 months you can meet with your accountant. But just having a simple P&L, which I give my clients, because I'm like, sometimes you're doing a lot, you're doing too much. You don't have time to be with all of the accounting things and keep on top of everything, but with a simple P&L it makes your life much easier. Okay. Insurance. Hello. Do you have liability insurance, general liability insurance, professional liability insurance to cover claims of negligence? So these are the thoughts and considerations. Marketing, trademark, do you have a brand identity, an online presence, blah, 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 blah. Operations and logistics. And I'm raising my hand because I am not the perfect business owner, but I am doing right now because now I know better. But standard operating procedures change your life. What are the daily tasks you're doing in life, especially when you have people that work with you? There's always something to reference, right? I'm not just making something up on the fly. Like, by the way, I like to have something that someone can always reference and say, at least I have a tool. Okay. But these are the things we think about. Customer relations, strategy, HR. Do you have a handbook? Okay, don't want to scare you all, but these are all the things, but they're important things. And I want you to consider them all as being equally important. Okay. Whew. Also, your networking and partnerships. I love to collaborate with others. So I'm always looking to collaborate with other businesses, with leaders, partners. This is part of growth and networking and community. Also a very important part of your business. All right. And speaking of compliance, I promised I would touch on this. I'm just looking in the chat. Oh, sure. Thank you for joining. I know, girlfriend, you got this. You got this. I have faith in you. All right. But I promised I would touch on the Corporate Transparency Act. And this isn't an act that was started in January 1st, way to start the new year, January 1st, 2024. And it requires certain entities to file, a beneficial ownership information report, a BOI report, with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is a bureau of the United States Department of Treasury. Okay, I'm going to just give you some acronyms here. So if you hear me reference them, you'll know what they mean. A CTA, Corporate Transparency Act, BOI, Beneficial Ownership Information, BOIR, Beneficial Ownership Information Report, and FinCEN, which is the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. And the website is fincen.gov for all of the information, reporting, FAQs. That's a really helpful site and it's exhaustive. Things are changing. I think this is a new law, so I've seen, different information, but to get the latest and greatest, I would definitely recommend that you go to FinCEN. And so this act is a federal law and it requires LLCs, corporations, et cetera, to disclose information about their owners and controllers to FinCEN. And a controller and owner, I think you have to have at least 25% stake in the business. So once you have at least 25% stake, you are considered an owner and or controller. It applies to limited liability companies, again, corporations. And there are 23 exemptions, but I don't know if you'll be one of them. I know nonprofits are on there and there's some other, some accountants, but you have to take a look. The listing is on the website. And you can see if you don't qualify, if you do qualify for an exemption. But again, I doubt you qualify. It must disclose information about the company's beneficial owners and leaders, the people who control the company, okay? And you would have to include your address, the name, the amount of ownership you have, etc. What I want you to focus on, and they want to make sure that this is done. What I want you to focus on is the fact that if this is not done, they impose civil and criminal penalties. And these penalties are I was a little shocked. They're a little harsh. So way to get someone encouraged to do it, right? That they will impose a penalty of up to $500 for each day that the violation continues, up to $10,000. In addition, you can serve prison time. What? For 2 to 3 years or both. So please make sure you do this. It's not that crazy to do. And you can authorize someone to do it. I know some people have their accountants do it, an attorney do it. You can do it. Just make sure that it's done and you're on top of them to do it because this carries some hefty penalties that for something that could be avoided. Once you do submit it and everything is done, let's say you made a mistake, you need to have a correction, like, oh my gosh, I have to change something. You can still do that within 30 days of submitting your report. And there are specific deadlines for these reports depending on when your business was formed. So if your business was formed before January 2024, the deadline is January 1st, 2025. So essentially the end of this year. If your business was formed between January of this year and December of this year, you have 90 days, within 90 days of formation to get it together. And they mean no business. If you file anytime after December 31st of this year, they want it within 30 days or else we're looking at those penalties. Okay, so this is the information that I have. Now, if we meet in a session or anything like that or move forward, we can, I can provide, step-by-step instructions and more details, but from FinCEN. But go to fincen.gov. It's a really helpful site. Okay, whew. Sorry, guys, if I talk fast. I wanted to get everything in time for questions. So you hung out with me this whole time. I hope you learned the differences between the LLC, why you need to have those corporate formalities, when you need a corporation, but what is next, right? Remember, this is just the beginning. Forming the company is the beginning. And, a lot of the action and excitement happens after for your business. And in order to be a successful entrepreneur, we have to take action. Okay, so the next step, if you wanted to learn more or to work with me, or if you need help with your LLC formation, you can book a strategy session, which I will do complimentary, and the links will be in the bio. Thank you so much, Kate. The links are in the bio. For that, you can schedule with me. It will be no fee because you were kind enough to join me on this webinar today. And I'm doing that for you. And I wanted to let you know how we can help with basic LLC formation. Again, we would do a strategy session. We would do the complete LLC formation for you. So it would be the articles of organization, certificate, and your filing page. In New York, good old New York, there is a publication requirement. You have to publish in a particular so if you live in a county of Suffolk, Nassau, et cetera, depends. You have to file in the newspaper letting the county know, vis-a-vis letting the state know that you are in business. That is a legal requirement. And that does not go to me. That goes to, of course, your New York State Department. I would give you customized operating agreements to protect your business. An EIN, I would pull that for you so you can start using it right away, and you can take that and start opening your business bank accounts. And we would do a business name, of course, in domain search, and take care of the registered agent service for the first year. And then after that, I would give you resources that you can continue on with. So it's usually $14.97. I will apply $200 credit just for, being here and also, taking the time and taking action. I always say to my clients, I say to everyone, I do not want money to be an excuse to not take action. Your business is too valuable. And if you just want a session with me, you can still book that session with me if you just want to, if you have business, just to kind of develop a strategy of what you need to do going forward. I can help you do that as well. So I have no problem, doing that, helping you get an action plan, a game plan, make sure you have the right agreements in place. And, I just want to thank you for being here. These are all the ways you can reach me, Estate Empress. And I'm asking you, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Um, I'm dropping the links there. Well, Kate, thank you so much. Kate, please subscribe to my channel. I also have a newsletter that gives up-to-date information where you can schedule, book, etc. I thank you for taking your time to be here with me. I hope it was, valuable and worth your time. And let's get to some questions in our Q&A box that I see here. I hope that you're welcome. You are all welcome. You are welcome. Awesome. Okay, so if I already have a business but need to update agreements, yes, like I said, I can definitely help you with agreements. So what we could do is we could work together to see what you need and to see how we could get your agreements in place via templates or customizing. So it depends on what you need to update, what you need to get done. And we also can do a business, oh, I didn't mention, we also can do a business audit, which would be like a thorough audit of what you have. And then we could see what the holes are in your business, potentially what we need to work on, because that business audit is really thorough and people learn a lot in that audit. Another question moving forward. Yes, so to move forward, the next step would be to go in to the link, book the session. Remember, I'm waiving the fee for it. And then we will go in, book, we'll talk about it, and then we can move forward with, depending on your goals, your needs, where your business is, or if you're just a sole proprietor, how to get your entity formed properly. And, I'll give you like a checklist so you'll know how to maintain it going forward with corporate formalities, etc. And I also, guys, I do a lot of mindset things with my clients and, suggest books and meditations and things that help because we often try to separate ourselves from our business and we are the same. Like it's, the energy you give it is really what it is. So I love to do that. That's, my favorite thing. How much is the registered agent service? So the registered agent service is, I think it's 125, but I can confirm with you because what I do is I use registered agents that I work with, and usually that's what it is. I just cover the first year's cost of it for clients when they're just, booking. And so they can not have to worry about that for the first year. I like when, they don't have to worry about those things. Another thing. Okay, sorry, I have another question here. Sorry, guys. Thank you for being here and holding on while I get to my questions. Yes, an operating agreement. So if you have a business already, but no operating agreement, that's completely fine. We can get an operating agreement that is customized and tailored to you and your needs. So you don't have to really worry about not, having a business already and not having an operating agreement. My thing to you is make sure that, you take care of the Corporate Transaction Act formalities first things first. And, but we would talk about all of that in our session. Okay, we will talk about all of that in our session just to make sure that you're covered all around and you have what you need. Also, the work for hire agreement, now that we have a little time, someone just said something about that. That's a great reminder. Why you need a work for hire agreement, especially if you're creating and you're creative, even if you're creating letters, if you're creating anything in your business that is of use, a logo or anything personal to your business. If you hire a third party to do it and you don't have that in place or the language that you need in agreement in place, it may not belong to you anymore. So you have to make sure you have the right language in place in that agreement to protect the ownership of your work. If that, hopefully that resonates. But so these are the things we cover. And I guess this is the excitement and joy that of my life. And I definitely think that you know, being ahead of the curve. And like I say, I'm not perfect with everything, but I know a lot of good strategy. I got my agreements in place. And as I learn, I love to impart knowledge on all of you. So if you'd like to move forward, please book, please book. You have my link there. I'm gonna end this so we can stop share really quickly so I can yeah, please book so you can get yourself on track. And if you found this information helpful, share my links, share my information, share my websites, and just drop in the chat if it was helpful or not. But I respect your time. It's 45 minutes. And I definitely thank you for being here and look forward to working with you in the very near future with your businesses, with your estate planning, just with your lives. So thank you. Have a great day, guys.